Y'all, it's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, and we got variation number 5, I believe. Variation number 5 that I told you guys on the Draco hybrid variant. This really isn't a Draco variant, it just has Draco in it. This is the deck full of lovely, powerful engines that all cooperate so beautifully. And of course, you gotta add some spice to your life, so you gotta come to Team King of Games to see these kind of deck profiles. So it's True King, Zing, Dracos. The deck has ridiculous ceiling. I mean, it's just broken. The ceiling has feeling, but it's pretty lit. I love the way the deck flows. Everything works so well together. I mean, it's just random out of nowhere plays like Synchron on your opponent's turn, making Masterpiece on your opponent's turn, Calamities, pop your opponent's monsters, summon a True King, banish stuff. It's just retarded. Funny thing, nobody really paid attention that all of the True Kings banish. One banishes from extra deck, one banishes from your actual deck, one banishes from the monsters, and one banishes back rows. But all the True Kings actually banish, which is pretty retarded. I love them. They're so broken. And I believe that Dracos and True Kings together are more powerful than how Draco True Kings together are more powerful than True Draco or True Kings by themselves. Because obviously they have access to each other, whereas you're playing a pure True Draco hybrid, you don't have access to Calamities. But if you're playing a True King variant, you don't have access to Masterpiece. But playing a hybrid variant, you get all this overpowered stuff in one deck. Really lit. Without further ado, let's hop into this deck profile. First and foremost, check my camera. We are running 2 copies of Masterpiece, which is pretty broken. I don't really, think this guy is overpowered like how people overhype him. I've seen plenty Yu-Gi-Oh cards more powerful than him come and go, but he is a great card nonetheless. Honestly, a Pot Cleafort Towlers and Cleaforts was stronger than him. Sometimes I feel like the Crimson Nova, the Cubic Lord is stronger than him, but nonetheless, he is a very broken card. Great to have. And he does target and pop during either player's turn, which can help you disrupt chain links and just clear cards before they ever become a problem. In tandem with Masterpiece, we are playing 2 copies of Lithosagam, 2 copies of Barastos. Now, I have thoroughly explained the True Kings, their synergy, the combos you can perform, and their abilities and all of their built-in effects, and also how you can overwhelm your opponent, and all of my True King Zing deck profile. So I'm not going to do that in this deck profile. If you want to hear a more in-depth explanation on how powerful the True Kings are and how they synergize with everything, look up my True King Zing builds and you will find a 30-minute video in depth on how to do that. We also play 2 copies of Mariamne, the True Draco Phoenix, and of course 2 copies of Agni Mazud. So we're playing everything beastie at 2. The 2 Masterpiece and all 4 of the True Kings at 2. I believe it's perfect because you have a lot of other engines. So, it's basically like a space thing. If I could afford to, I would play 3 of every True King except for the Fire, how I normally do it. But I wouldn't play 3 Masterpiece. I just feel like that's not necessary. So yeah, 2 Agni Mazut, the Vanisher, 2 Mariamne, the Draco Phoenix, 2 Barastos, the Fathomer, and 2 Lithosagam, the Disaster, and 2 Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King. Love their names and love their artwork. They are so beautiful and awesome. I mentioned in another video that this guy's level 9. I'm an idiot. Please don't take that the wrong way. But I felt like an idiot douchebag when I said he's a level 9. He's a level 8. Sorry, you guys, for the false information. But honestly, you could see to yourself that he's a level 8. And for the other baby Dracos, I just play 1 Knuckles and 1 Ignis Heat. Most would have, this is where the questions may arise, but you honestly just have to play this deck for yourself to realize that you only need 1 of them. They're totally recyclable. You really only want to control 1 of them because obviously this isn't pure True Dracos, and you're going to get a lot more power and a lot more synergy out of other cards. But you want to set up your return play or your Apocalypse just to have attacks. And obviously Ignis Heat puts the most pressure on the board in this deck because True Draco Heritage is extremely live, having access to True Kings and obviously Dracos, having lots and lots to put on the board and take off the field. Especially when you summon your True Kings, then pop them, and you're tributing your Dracos and your trap to summon Masterpiece. You're loading up for your Heritage, and Heritage lets you draw like 7-8 cards. And it also synergizes well with this combo that I showed you guys in my other True Draco variant. But I'll show you guys in this deck profile as well how to do that crazy combo with basically requires either Ignis Heat or any Heritage I'm sorry, Ignis Heat or Heritage, and Waterfall the Dragon Souls, which is really cool. And keep in mind, if you're playing a mirror match between True Dracos or True Kings, that your Heritage will actually gain its effects based off the number of Simp from the field. So you can, for example, pop a True King or a True Draco with Masterpiece, attack over one with Masterpiece, pop your opponent's True Kings or True Dracos with your own Calamities, and then activate Heritage and draw cards off of every single True King or True Draco that you destroyed from your opponent. You don't even have to destroy your own, which is why Heritage is pretty broken only in mirror matches. But it's also really overpowered in this deck because obviously you run True Kings and True Dracos, so you can put a lot of pressure on the board, making your opponent really scared of that True Draco Heritage. If it hits the field, like, they'll be scared of the cards that you draw, because you may draw a game-winning hand just by performing your natural combos and setting up your board anyways. And moving forward past the True Kings and the True Dracos, we are playing 2 copies of Darkness and 2 copies of Light. Basically this deck is 2 of everything. There are like no 3 ofs except for Diagram. So 2 copies of Darkness, 2 copies of Light, 2 copies of the Secret of the Yang Zing, which is honestly one of the most broken Yang Zings because of the combos that he revolves around, which are really, really broken. I love Secret so much. He's such a busted card. I got love and hate for him because sometimes you draw him too much, but at the same time, he's an Earth, and he's just too good to not play. But I'm even playing him at 2, and he would have been the only exception for the Yang Zings to play at 3. Sometimes he's even better than Jiaotu, and Jiaotu is broken, but Zafrano is going to be live more times than Jiaotu, especially because we're playing a lot other monsters that aren't Yang Zings, so you're not always going to have, your Jiaotu outlet, but you still can special summon Jiaotu from your deck off of any Yang Zing effect and instantly trigger his effect. So even with him being at 2, you have that's another thing that's pretty broken about Yang Zings. Once you have one, you have them all, because each Yang Zing gives you access to any other one. So it's pretty cool. Like, this deck has such flexibility and versatility. It's just amazing. But 2 copies of Fire. In tandem with that, we're playing 2 copies of Earth Beyond. These are your immunities now. 2 copies of water and 1 copy of Wind. You can make your synchros unaffected by traps, unaffected by spells. Make it so that he can't be destroyed by battle. Or if you're having problems with the beat stick, you synchro with Swanee, and your synchro monster will gain 500 attack and defense, which is pretty cool. Like when you summon your Dinlong using Swanee and Chi Win, your Dinlong gets 3,300 defense. 3,300 defense is just pretty lit because Masterpiece itself can't even attack over it with the assistance of a Diagram, and he's just gonna have to, just make it do what it do. So it's a pretty big booty, and most monsters can't really get over it. Of course, Lightning can get over it, but Lightning, Utopia the Lightning is at 5,000. I mean, come on now. Magma Dragon being the final monster in the monster count. This guy is the MVP in every single deck profile. Magma Dragon's the MVP. This guy just gives you such longevity in your plays. He's basically like a comeback, a huge comeback. He just keeps you in the game. Once you special him from your deck off of Fathomer, Barastos the Fathomer, you'll use Lithosagam, the Earth True King, and also Baxia, the Brightness of the Yang Zing, which is the ultimate synchro right here, to keep special summoning him, because every time he's special summon, a once per turn effect. So every turn that you special summon him, he will special summon any worm type monster from your graveyard. Its effects are negated. But nonetheless, he helps you to either synchro or make a rank 9, which just overextends your plays because he's a free fodder that you never had. That sums up the monsters. Like I said, it's 2 of everything. There are no 3 of monsters in this deck at all. I just felt like, well, since we're playing so many engines, you might as well be fair and just put everything at 2. And it works so perfectly because now you're never drawing into multiples of anything except for Double D's. And we're playing Triple Diagram, of course. I nicknamed this card Double D's, Big Titties. I think this guy right here is a Metal Foe. I know that's Rat Pierre, and I think this guy is a Crystron. So I see Crystrons, Metal Foes, and of course Zodiacs. So I really want to look into the lore. You guys know how I love my card lores. I want to look into the lore and see, I know True Dracos and True Kings are enemies, but I want to see how Zodiacs and Metal Foes and also Crystrons, come to be, like how they operate. Like, are they enemies of True Dracos and True Kings? Because I've seen Crystron Impact, if you guys play Crystrons. On the trap card, Crystron Impact, you can actually see this guy, Barastos the Fathomer. He's on the artwork of the trap card, and that's a Crystron. And then funny thing, on Diagram, Double D's, you see a Crystron right here. I think that's Crystron Rion. as a matter of fact. It's weird. You guys would have to play the decks to obviously know what I'm talking about. But triple diagram, which I call double D, triple Optimus Prime, 2 supers and 1 common, but nonetheless 6 double Ds in the form of double D and Optimus Prime. Moving forward with the spells, we played double Path. I didn't want to maximize on Path. Obviously, you know, this is more of a hybrid variant than anything, so you don't want to do too much on either side. You know, you don't want to go too hard on Yang Zings, like too much Yang Zing stuff, and you don't want to have too much True King stuff, and you don't want to have too much True Draco stuff. You want an even balance for hybrid variants, and that's always how I've done it. The only exception is obviously True King Yang Zings, because they're the same monsters really to me. Moving forward, we are also playing 2 copies of True Draco Heritage and 2 copies of Disciples of the Phoenix. Now, these are your methods to recycle and to also get your additional summons for your Knuckles, for your Ignis Heat, for your Masterpiece. And funny thing, you can summon your True Kings. It's not really ever going to happen. You don't ever want to tribute summon for them. You just want to activate their effects to special. But let's say, for example, you can't do that. Just tribute summon. It's just food for thought, something you can do that I probably never would do. And really quick, I'm going to show you guys this combo that I showed you in the other video, but I'm going to show you again. Waterfall of Dragon Souls. So this, when you activate it, you either search for a worm-type monster from your deck to your hand, or you can actually just send any number of worm-type monsters from your hand and your field, or you can just one, but I normally do both, hand and field, to draw that number of cards plus 1. So, for example, just for example, let's say that you have a Knuckles, or a Knuckles, a Lithosagum, a Mariamne, and yeah, let's just say, for example, you have these 3, right? Let's say you have these 3 on the field. You're gonna activate your Waterfall Dragon Souls, right? Send these 3 from your field to the graveyard, and this helps you to dodge, like, you know, weird card effects. Like, for example, if your opponent activates some weird effect like that says banish all cards on the field, I don't know, just for example, if instead of getting all 3 of these guys banished from your field, you can chain Waterfall, send them to the graveyard instead, and, you know, plus off of them. So let's say these 3 are on your field. You activate Waterfall, send them from the field to the graveyard, draw 3 cards for those 3 True Kings or Yang Zings, which they're just worm types, so just draw 3 cards for those worm types, and then draw an additional card for the actual effect, because it says any number plus 1. After you draw your 4 cards, you will activate your Heritage and draw 3 more cards, because the number of True Kings and Yang Zings, those were sent from your field to the grave. And it's also cards. So in addition to those 3, if you tributed Disciples or a Heritage, or even if you just, like, you know, tributed a Return or whatever, that stacks. But, you know, you'll draw your 3 cards plus 1, so you'll draw 4 off of those, you know, sending these 3. And this is just an example. It gets more broken later on, where you'll actually draw 11 cards off this combo. 11. Hello, somebody. 11 cards. So you activate this, send these 3 to the grave, draw 3, draw 1, 4 cards off the trap. Then you activate Heritage, draw 3 more. You've drawn 7 fresh cards, a brand new hand. It's stupid. It really is. It's just stupid. And of course, you know, Heritage and Disciples naturally are draw cards themselves. So all the spells literally just draw and search. Path draws, Heritage draws, Disciples draws, and it has great synergy in this deck because it recycles your True Kings. Puts back your Lithosagums, puts back your Mariamnes, your Barastoses, even your True King of all Calamities. So Disciples has even greater synergy in True King, True Dracos, because you don't just put back your Masterpiece, you know, you put back everything. So it's really cool. But you draw for this, draw off of Path, and the 6, so basically the 6 draw spells, and then the 6 searchers, which is really cool. So all the spells are consistent. If you have a spell, you're going to be happy. Put it that way. Moving forward with the traps, like I said, everything is just 2-ups except for Diagram. Diagram was literally the only exception in this deck. Everything else is at 2 or less. There are literally no 3-ups, like I said, except for Diagram and Terraforming, because they are the most important cards, because they literally, Diagram actually puts these engines together in the same turn, if I'm making sense. You can open with the Yang Zing and a True King, and you can pop that Yang Zing and search out your Masterpiece, for example, and then do all 3 engines at once. Really, really cool. But 2 Waterfalls, aka Budget Diagram, but you still play Diagram in addition to this. You play this for the combo, and it also is a searcher. It's really, really cool. It can be a bait, you know, Galaxy Cyclone, bam, chain it. Double 9 Pillars, again, you don't want to brick also, so you don't want to draw 9 pillars and you don't have a Yang Zing. So everything, like I said, that's not Diagram is at 2 for a reason, for my own personal reason. 2 copies of True King's Return, 1 Apocalypse, and 1 Yang Zing Creation. Now, you have these 4 continuous traps, and you have 4 continuous spells. And 7 of the 8 continuous spells and traps are actually recyclable. Yang Zing Creation is not recyclable, but it's actually searchable via Dinlong or even Zafranu, which is really cool. So, you know, you just set these, Summon Masterpiece, or even Knuckles or Ignis Heat. That's another reason why, you know, Ignis Heat is so great in this deck, but even so, I wouldn't play him at 3. Perhaps if I had room, I would definitely play him at 2 just because of that combo. But then again, this deck is not revolving around the combo. This deck doesn't need the combo, honestly. It's just, you know, icing on the cake. But Ignis Heat is great. And of course, Knuckles and Ignis Heat are also fire and water, which help you to match the attributes for your True Kings. That will sum up the main deck. And moving forward to the extra deck. For this one, I'm actually playing 3 Calamities. Even though I have true disciples of the Draco Phoenix to recycle this guy, I've decided to play him at 3. I said in my True King Yang Zing deck, you know, the undefeated build, that I wanted to play this guy at 3. I decided to bump him up at 3. So I'm playing 3 Calamities. I just love him. It's not a you can only activate Calamities effect once per turn. So even having multiple Calamities, which, you know, honestly, you can have multiple Calamities literally by popping Lithosagam and special summoning Calamities from the grave. And even though, you know, he doesn't have his XYZ materials, and I'm explaining this to you guys so that you don't say, oh, you can never have multiple Calamities, it's link format. Yes, you can. Because if a Calamities is in the graveyard, you can pop Lithosagam, target this non-Earth Worm type, summon him to the main monster zone. What do you get out of a Calamities if it doesn't have XYZ materials? Let me explain this to you guys. Calamities has an effect, if you didn't know, that says if your True Kings or True Dracos would destroy cards, destroy monsters, I believe, on your field or in your hand. Yeah, if it would destroy monsters in your hand, would destroy their... I'm sorry. So let me read this thoroughly because I'm kind of confusing you guys. So, True Draco and True King monsters in your hand, meaning the ones that you reveal, like Lithosagam, in your hand that would destroy with their effects, those monsters can be chosen from your opponent's field. Did it ever say you have to detach for that? No. So if you summon a if you summon a Calamities from your graveyard off of Lithosagam, and your opponent just so happens to have a Zodiac Trident or a Zodiac this, for example, just for example, because Zodiacs are so popular, so that's an easy example, and you have a Lithosagam in hand, obviously, just by having him on the field with no XYZ materials, you can destroy both those Zodiacs to summon your Lithosagam for free and then banish the rest of the, you know, the Tridents or whatever. We'll banish the one Trident and banish the one Chakanine and the one Tiger Mortar, which naturally I go for. And that's just an example. It can get more broken depending on the matchup. Let's say, you know, you're playing Invokes. If you're playing Invokes, their fusions are just different attributes all the time. So it just depends. You can summon pretty much any True King on them. Another great example is if you're playing Paleozoics, which may not be a thing, but just for example, bear with me, please bear with me. You can summon this guy from the graveyard off of Lithosagam and, you know, reveal your Fathomer and destroy either their Totally Awesome, which obviously Totally Awesome by now would have been baited out, so don't say he can negate with his effect. This is an example, you guys, so calm down, pump your brakes. Let's say Fathomer, you know, you have Lithosagam. Lithosagam brings this guy back from the graveyard, reveal Fathomer, destroy their Dupe Frog. They have double Dupe Frog, Dupe Lock, you can't attack now. Destroy both their Dupe Frogs to summon your Fathomer. That's just an example. I can go on and on about different decks, like even Light Swarms, you know, having the zombie engines, having fires, you know, Agni Mazud. He's so powerful even without XYZ materials. That's the point I'm getting at. Because, you know, all four True Kings are different attributes, and every single deck that's not a light or dark based deck has those attributes. Even True Dracos, if they have Knuckles out, or if they have Ignis Heat, or if they have the Maiden, you can summon this guy from the graveyard off Lithosagam and destroy any of their monsters with your True King. So that's another reason why I'm playing him at 3, and that is my full and thorough explanation on why Calamities is so broken. He doesn't even have to have materials to be broken. So you don't have to XYZ summon from him all the time. You could just bring him back from the grave, like I said, and pop off with his effect, which is pretty broken. It's really broken. So we're playing 3 Calamities and also 3 Baxia, the brightness of the Yang Zing. Now I look at these cards as the same thing. They're powerful boss monsters that also speed up your engine. Once you make Baxia, he will help you to continue producing Yang Zing plays, combos, synergizing, popping True Kings, even popping, you know, your True Draco Heritage to out, you know, MST a back row, target your turn because Baxia literally targets any card you control. So he speeds up your engine once you make him, and so does Calamities because he helps you to summon your True Kings without actually sacrificing any of your resources because you can just destroy your opponent's monsters instead, thus triggering their effects. So Baxia and Calamities are kind of like the same thing to me. They're powerful boss monsters, like I said, that speed up your engine. I know I repeated myself, but I repeated myself for a very good reason. 2 copies of Dinlong, still awesome, very, very broken. The most broken tuner, just period. There's no tuner that can actually match Dinlong. He's just so broken. And also Yazi the Evil, the Yang Zing. If you make this guy right, he just can't be killed, especially playing True Dracos and Zodiacs. Like it's just really, really clutch. I think the best that they could do is probably try to out you with the Whiptail. But if you have Chao Feng with an Earth as one of his synchro materials, Zodiacs can never activate their effects. So they can never out him with the Whiptail. Make him unaffected by spells and traps. He can't be destroyed by battle. They can't use monster effects. They can't use spells and traps. They can't use my body as a shield. No enemy controllers. No strikes. No D-barriers. No Yu-Gi-Oh! GG. No re. Chao Feng's broken and so is Yazi. These two are like the ultimate trump cards. If you make them right later on in the duel, they will win you the game. That, I think, is so broken about this deck because you have main deck beasts, main deck boss monsters that can get you game, for example, Masterpiece or any of the True Kings. And then when you go into your extra deck, everything you summon from your extra deck is a boss monster that is overpowered. Dinlong can even be a boss monster because he searches out your 9 pillars. So I just think everything you go into your extra deck is totally worth it. It's never like a lackluster play. Everything in this deck is so overpowered and just busted. Trishula, BLs, Black Rose, because you can make these synchros on your opponent's turn. And depending on the matchup, you're just going to win. Phantom Fortress, Enter Blackaneer. And Decode Talker, just for the time being, because I do not have Code of the Duelist sneak peeks. I didn't go to sneak peek, so I couldn't get, the good links. But when I do get the good links, Decode Talker's out of here. But yeah, that sums up the deck profile, you guys. Tell me what you think. Give your honest opinion and feedback. And this is variation number 5, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to show you guys all the different ways where you can run True Dracos and, pretty much anything and splash it up. Same thing with True Kings. They're pretty much like Dragon Rulers. You can run them in like any deck. So yeah, God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Carthage must be destroyed. Y'all pay your bills on time. Feed your families. Peace.